Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black. This is It's All About Healing podcast. In today's episode, the transformative power of empathy, and it's my interview with Anjani Mahabashya. And I cannot wait for you guys to hear her story. She has a wonderful story to tell. How are you today?
I am doing very well, Robin. How are you today? And hello, everybody.
I'm doing very well, and I'm super excited to speak with you today. So, tell
Me
us a little bit about your story with empathy.
Thank you. So I got interested in empathy because I just started noticing how some people maintain or do so well with relationships as opposed to others, right? Like, and we see that very often, and we see, how are some people able to navigate through life um, effortlessly? I wouldn't say completely effortlessly, but quite a bit. They're able to resolve their conflicts pretty decently, and they're able to like advance either in your personal life or professional life uh, pretty well, and they're able to bring people together. And it is also like personal experiences where you feel, oh, that didn't feel good to me. Why didn't it feel good to me? What was happening to me? Or so then I started understanding that this whole concept of empathy is kind of declining
Mhm.
in people very rapidly. Everybody is feeling unseen, unheard, and
Yes.
like everybody's feeling it. Why are you feeling it? Like that what is that tipping point that everybody's feeling this way? And it's just become like my mission or ambition, you may call it, to give people like different in different platforms, different small examples, like, listen, this is what we do to others on a daily basis, and we could do something differently to help build those bonds. So, having said that, I will just give like a couple of examples. And today,
Absolutely.
yeah, and today I want to talk about, like, there are always some difficult times, difficult situations in your life. And like, empathy is, what is empathy? It's about understanding and feeling what another person is feeling. And when you're able to like really catch that emotion of
Mhm.
something that you're not hearing, that is the beauty of it. And I will say this, it's just not about what somebody is expressing with words, right? It's also about all the non-verbal cues that they're giving out. If somebody is uncomfortable, or they're like they're going through FOMO. I like that word, FOMO. Fear of.
Uh-huh.
So for example, like you're sitting at a work table, or at a party, and something, like I was talking to a person beside me, and we were like having a very deep conversation. So I saw somebody across me, um like not feeling like comfortable, and they were like probably feeling left out or something, in spite of having other people around them. So it's the easiest thing you could do is, hey, how was your desert? Or like, I like
Right.
that guy. Or saying something to get them involved. Oftentimes we catch that emotion and we ignore it, or we think that like, it's my time, it's my space. But addressing that, just involving that person back into the conversation, just relaxes that tension that is going on the table. So those are the little things that people are not saying. But if you recognize that, even on a work environment, let's say you're in a meeting, and you notice something, and you're like, hey, is everything going okay? Do you have something to say? So those are the things that really, like, I have learned through my own experiences, and learned through watching some amazing leaders, right? Like, like, that is what, like, distincts between like an absolutely great leader, where people are just following them, and people are going out of way to do things with them, for them, versus somebody who is just trying to like get the work done, right? Like, they're bringing you on board. And so that's my interest. And like, if I use every opportunity to see how each person is expressing that empathy. For example, I will tell, I do some crazy stuff. Like, for example, if I'm going in a flight, if there's somebody sitting beside me, I just strike a conversation. What's been the most difficult conflict of your life? How did you deal with it?
Uh-huh.
Most of the times, 50% of the time, I end up sitting beside like really like awesome CEOs of companies or something like that. And they have seen so much. They have done so much. And like, they will give you some solid advice. So it's very important to like expose yourself to
Mhm.
scenarios,
Mhm.
um, put yourself in difficult situation. It's not that I'm not asking you to stand on a cold street. That's not what I'm saying. Like, expose yourself to different situations where you kind of know how to be uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable, what do you do then? How are other people dealing with it? So that's how I do it, Robin, because I think when you're dealing with humans, there is no textbook, right? Like, you have
Right.
to, like, really, like, understand. The more exposure you have, the more scenarios you're stuck in, you will learn slowly, and then you start picking up, you start getting better at it. You start, like, recognizing those facial expressions, those, that discomfort or that happiness. And like, even if somebody's happy, just be happy with them in that moment. That's empathy too. Like, oftentimes people misunderstand that empathy is all about, like, oh, you're sad, do I have to, like, be with you? Not really. Like, even if you're really happy, even if you're, like, if your friend is dancing, dance with her.
Right. Yeah.
Empathy too, because you're sharing that emotion, you're sharing that, like, happiness. And this is what life is about, right? Like, once you start doing that, you see so much fulfillment in all areas of your life. And it has taken me at least a good 1.5 to 2 years of practicing it, like, literally practicing it. And once you start doing that and connecting with people, um, it just becomes a habit, and it comes very naturally after a certain amount of time. Like, it's not about are you being genuine or not. It's about, are you be able to articulate what, it's a skill set. It's not about being a good human or not being a good human. It is more about, like, really trying to be in that situation and make the other person seen and heard. It's the language that you use. And I, I must say, like, I constantly have people who use that language for me, with me, and it is so inspiring. It is absolutely inspiring. And that, which is why I always try to put myself in situations where I can learn too, right? We all have to learn and grow. So that was, like, one example I gave, where you kind of catch those expressions of people. And when I say that I am quite, like, blessed that I have had some of the great leaders to work with. So, for example, I recently asked for mentorship with one of the leaders. And during our introductory call, like, after I finished my introductory call, I'm like, what was I even talking? Like, I didn't do a good job, like,
Hmm.
really explaining what I wanted from the leader in terms of mentoring. So I was just feeling like, I could have done better, or, I should have asked for this too. But when I saw her email, she exactly knew what I wanted, and she exactly gave the assignments what I wanted. So that's what makes, when you have that empathy, you're able to understand the unspoken words of a person, like, you're really able to get what they want. And so, and then when I saw her in, like, the remaining meetings and stuff, oh, I knew, like, she was just, how do you deal with situations? How do you hear to people and then give your opinion? And how do you, like, navigate those situations? So, for me, I do feel uh, it's a beautiful skill set. One should really take time
Right.
and learn it from different experiences. You cannot get it really in, like, books, or it's about human emotion, right? It's about uh, yeah, you might see a happy picture, but actually, if you see a person happy, it's a totally different
Hmm.
feeling,
And like,
right?
I know earlier you said also when someone, they feel ignored, like basically when the universal is, how are you? Or someone asks, how's your day going? And half time, 9 times out of 10, they're not even listening for the answer. So you're
Yes.
saying basically to express a little more empathy and actually listen to the answer, because sometimes maybe someone is having a really bad day and they need to be heard. They feel the need to, I need to be heard because I always feel unseen, or that people just aren't hearing me, or I'm constantly working or walking around at work in the workplace afraid to speak because I feel like no one's really going to listen to me anyway. So it's about, I guess, presenting that empathy and taking time out to listen to others is basically kind of what you're saying, correct?
Yes. And the way somebody answers to your how are you, especially if you're able to pay attention to their tone of voice and their expressions, that
Mhm.
you have to like pay, like, the next follow-up question must happen, is everything okay? If you don't feel that answer was just uh, you know, I'm okay with the casual answer. I'm okay with a happy answer. But if I see something, not right, then I do address it. If it's a happy answer too, then I'm like, what's going on? You sound so happy. Just try to like ask. Maybe there's something happy in their life they want to share. You could give a moment. And what I want to say is these little things like add up so much, Robin, because again, like I said, what goes around comes around very quickly, very quickly. You don't have to like, you really don't have to, you don't need anything from that person whom you're having that empathetic connection. You will just get it from somewhere else. And like I said, the skill set, like it really helps you form those connections. And the decisions about you and for you happen on a wide range of people, right? So it's all about like maintaining those deep connections, understanding people, and helping people as you go along. As you empower people, like, you will be empowered along the way. It is not about like, stepping over others. It just doesn't help at all. And once people feel that you understood them and you like, connected with them, they will go out of way, and it might not necessarily happen at that time. But people do remember how you make them feel, right? So that's where I am getting to. And it is definitely not easy, like, it most importantly, I would say, uh, at least 3 to 4 days of a week, I spend a lot of time self reflecting and working on myself, because I think the root is self awareness for empathy. What are you feeling
Mhm.
to it? For example, I'll give you like another small thing that I actually think we should do with kids. Let's say, a kid sees another kid suffering, and they're like, they're happy about it. Or like, even not even a kid, anybody, if they're seeing somebody else suffering and they're happy about it, instead of just saying, no, that's not how you're supposed to feel. You cannot be happy when somebody's suffering.
Right.
Just try
Yeah.
why is that feeling coming from? Maybe there's a
Mhm.
background that you're not aware. Like maybe that kid was mean to this kid, or something else might be going on, and it's an opportunity for you to know what is the background, like what is going on. Get the perspective of why the person is feeling that way, instead of
Right.
writing it off. So, and that helps you understand, oh, this is your feeling, and then you can validate that feeling. Oh my god, is that what happened? And
Mhm.
then the kid automatically will, like move past that feeling to a different feeling. But just writing it off, like, people get confused. That means you're not like really caring about me at that minute, at that point of time. So it happens to all of us. Sometimes, like, people, like, don't text us, like, you're like, what's going on, you're not sure.
Absolutely.
So common, so common.
Yeah,
And
especially or if you text someone and then they don't write you back or they take weeks to respond and
right.
it's how would you or what would you suggest for anyone who's dealing with that right now? Because we can't really do a lot because not everyone's going to show empathy. Not everyone's going to say, "Well, let me at least take 5 seconds to respond." A lot of people are just going to say, "I'll get to it later." So, what would you suggest for the person on the receiving end that's not receiving that response? What would you suggest that they do to kind of not allow that to affect them, what I mean, tremendously when someone doesn't respond or when someone's not giving them the validation that they're seeking, if they're seeking validation?
Yeah. So this is why I mentioned that, you have to spend time with yourself,
Mhm.
completely with yourself, at least, 2 to 3 days of a week. You can go up to like 3 to 4 hours of self respect reflecting. Once you know who you are, what your values are, and you validate yourself, and you know where you're coming from, and that's enough, Robin. Like, once you start working on yourself, all these things become noise. It takes time. However, in the meantime, it always is good idea to go like in, again, this is about, again, being that self-aware, right? You go in steps. Why
Mhm.
is this happening? Why could this be happening? Yeah, like, and then adding that human element to that text message, and this happens with between friends too. Hey, I miss talking to you, like I didn't hear from you. What's going on? Is everything okay? So it's just saying that, what are you feeling, instead of like really like beating around the bush. And this is so common. Like, I mean, like it's been like 10 years and nothing has changed with all this, like the silence of the text messages and stuff. But again, all of us go through, most of the times I feel, because we don't know how to handle the situation, and we are not able to like express what we're actually feeling. We don't have language to say, this is what I'm feeling, or this is what is happening in the situation. And it's a very good idea to just say, hey, I miss talking to you, or can we talk, or like what's going on, I just want to make sure you're okay. Adding all these like elements, I think it just helps the other person think, um, am I doing the right thing or not? And you do it once or twice, and then obviously it is also about like, I'm very particular even about boundaries, in these kind of situations, which is
Mhm.
why like once you start understanding yourself, you also understand when to set a boundary and when to like really take empathy to the next level. So I would say, when you start like knowing yourself and you're more self-aware, you automatically understand that this is my boundary and this is my self-respect, and beyond this, I'm able to like have that empathetic connection with you. Because if you like, now that we're talking about empathy, it has its like the boundaries as well, right? Like you can't, like I think it takes two people to, one might not be at the same level as you are, but
Right.
it does you cannot really like go beyond your boundaries and do things. But you can always give them that perspective, in a text message or in a call, that like, hey, what's going on, I just want to like hear from you, I hope you're okay, and see what happens. That's it. Like, and be prepared to kind of face anything. I think the other thing I would say is being prepared. I'm not sure if it really falls in the empathy concept or not, but there are times I'm very well aware of what is going to happen at a work meeting, or like at a party or something. And I'm prepared, like I do prepare. Okay, this person might behave a certain way, so how would I, like, because people are usually patterns, right? People are patterns. So like you already are aware of a pattern, and you prepare. I think being prepared is such a beautiful thing to do. We just spoke to just have the direction in
Yeah.
this. And that 2-minute call really helps to like like, hey Robin, how am I thinking, how are you thinking? Just that connection is needed uh,
Mhm.
to bring an amazing result, like a fantastic result. So and everything is a result, right? And you want a positive result, you put in that effort of preparing, of communicating well, of
Mhm.
improving your communication skills day in and day out in different experiences. So for example, I told my mentor, what you teach me at work, might not necessarily like be helpful at work, because I have a fantastic boss, but it will help me in my other relationships, and which is why like I want mentoring in this area. And it's always like a cross, we can always cross cover our like abilities at work and personal life. Like it's pretty much the same, you're dealing with human beings. So it really helps, it does help me. And when I just forgot to say that, like invalidating somebody when they come home, it's not a good idea. Like like I do hear people say, when somebody says I had a bad day, like the response saying, don't bring work home. No. It's big. What do you do, right? You can't bring work home, you can't take your home problems to work, you will suffocate. So
Mhm.
like I think the partners, everybody, colleagues have to just listen, like,
Mhm.
I hear you, like, oh my God, that's so tough, because work is tough, it
Mhm.
is tough. Tell me more about it, like, and if they are in a mood to bitch, just bitch with them. It's
Right.
okay.
I
It's
get that. I
okay.
completely understand.
Yeah, it's about sharing their feeling, right? You can
Yeah.
you can drive that damn logic into their brain the next day or the day after. But at
Right.
that point, like, being heard is what they're looking for. Nobody is looking for a logical solution. We all have the logic. We
Yeah.
all can figure things out. Like, if you're freaking made it to a job, you know what's the most practical solution for it. But at that point, your emotion needs to be heard. And I have seen people like address that. I have seen people who don't address that. And I think, the the results speak for itself. And it's just that simple. Like, if my friend calls me and she's upset about something, I will sit and like, oh my god, that is so bad. And like, she becomes happy, and then like a couple days later, hey, like, but this happened, but maybe we could do it differently. What do you think? And just keep it like very subtle, and they will get it. They will get it, and you
Right.
don't have to do anything. Just leave them, and they will figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially because so many people are internalizing their feelings now, or they project how they're feeling internally and they project it onto others and immediately assume that someone's, again, not going to understand or no one really cares to listen. But I realize that a lot of people who are angry all the time, or because, like you said, they're just in the mood to, I just want to bitch about work, right? And a lot of times they just want you to listen. There's not really anything for you to say. They just want to be heard and let it out. And there's not always an answer needed if you are just that person and you're just that listening ear. And that's kind of what it's about, especially with children. Like, how do you feel with COVID, right? We had COVID for what did it start in 20? So we're going on into the third year. Do you feel that that took a really strong effect on children from always having to do online learning, being away from, their friends and their teachers and being inside? Do you think that has definitely had a wide effect on children, and as far as speaking about their emotions, internalizing, and zero empathy, because they don't even really know how to, really, they don't really know how to project their feelings anyway. They don't know how to channel it. So, what would you suggest in that sense?
So that's a great question. Such a beautiful question. So in kids, I definitely, coming back to the same thing that I said in the beginning, giving them opportunities to form those empathetic connections is very crucial. And what's gone is gone. Like, COVID was hard on everybody, but when we have time now and when things are opening up, it's very, very crucial to form those empathetic connections with children. For example, just making sure that your child is excited when you come home and not looking into their head. So
Right.
beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
start there. Like, how are they feeling when you come home? Are they looking into their iPad, or are they like, coming and hugging you and kissing you? They're happy to
Hmm.
see you. Like,
Hmm.
why don't we start there? Like, that's such a beautiful feeling, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I do see all of these things missing. When we had nothing in our childhood, and I would be like so happy, like just seeing my dad just come
Uh-huh.
home, or like I would know that he's coming home really from far off. So those little things are the ones, this is like very crucial, like the first 10 or 12 years of your life. And it's often, with kids, you can provide them as much education you want, like send them to Ivy League schools, but if they're not able to understand how to set boundaries and how to form deep connections, the value of that education really doesn't shine. Like,
Right.
one know
Right.
how to form those deep connections and move through life, like your education multiplies 20, 10, 20, 30, 40 times. And like, once I started practicing these skills in the last 2 years, my life has just escalated. And like, I'm sharing this and I'm saying that, like, it's just gone up in exponential level. So it's an easy skill, but it's, you have to be very conscious about it. So I think with kids, it's very important to teach them and exposing them to like different scenarios, right? For example, recently, for Christmas, the kids in my community crafted these beautiful cards for the seniors in my community. So they didn't meet the seniors before they crafted the cards, but just, like imagining, oh, are they feeling lonely, so how can I make them happy? So coming up
Right.
with creative stuff and writing some, funny things. So those are the things that help kids to understand that there is a world beyond their home. There are people at different stages of their life. And I also work for a non-profit organization where we have volunteers who come and like help the senior citizens learn technology. So what I've noticed it over the period of time, Robin, these young kids, they start understanding that there's a different perspective, right? Like, the senior citizen has to have a different font size for the iPad. It starts from there, you know
Mhm.
it starts from there.
Yeah.
uh, they understand that, oh, they need a bigger font size, so, and they need to be taught very patiently, and they are funny too, but you just have to give them that time to be funny. So I think kids and senior citizens, they're the same, right? You kind of have to be patient with them. You have to like, and the younger kids start to understand that patience, and when you patience is so important in, like,
Right.
when in your teens and your 20s.
Exactly.
Things will come to you. You just have to be. So yeah, it's not about, yeah, like, so patience is so important. I've seen volunteers become more patient, become more, like, they're able to change their perspective, that, oh my god, these people have gone through so much in their life, and they're still so welcoming and happy, and non-judgmental, funny.
Right.
and
Yeah.
and I'm glad you brought that topic up, because I do feel that having, for children and young adults, when you have these deep empathetic connections with different people, in your community, in your, maybe at your workplace, or at your place of worship, it really takes off that burden where, you have to seek that validation from one person. Like, for example, a partner or something. You don't need that always. You kind of like try to form those deep connections and improve your wisdom, or, like, your navigation through life from different sources, which is why I always say it's very, very important to have mentors from different areas, because each one brings you um, a different way of looking at life, a different perspective. So I think that you really touched the kids topic, and I do see that change in them when they start interacting with people who are not like that. So
Right, right.
yeah.
And so what would you suggest? Because I know you said 3 or 4 days out of the week you're kind of going within, you're doing something for you. What would you suggest? Like what do you do? What helps you relax or meditate or just kind of wind down and just kind of clear your mind? What do you do?
So what do I do is I do look back at my week, to see what didn't go so well, or what went so well, and why did something go so well. What is it that from my past that I implemented to help that go well, and whatever didn't really go well, I have amazing mentors and friends who give me that perspective, like, okay, maybe this is how you could handle, and this is what is happening. So I also, in that time, like, then I'm learning, like, I'm like, okay, and then I'm like self-reflecting, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is what I couldn't really do. Or sometimes I'm like, I do silly stuff, right? Like I said, just go out with your friends, have like the most most non-productive talk ever possible.
Yeah.
Don't have any agenda. Put your phones away. Like, this is what, like, me and my friends do. One of my best friends, we just turn off our phones. We set an alarm, because we all have other things to catch up on.
Right.
We set an alarm, but we don't keep our phones on the table. So like 15 minutes before the, like, when we are really in some deep conversation, it's nonsense, by the way. Deep is
Yeah.
like so yeah, just when the alarm rings, then you're like, okay, we're wrapping up. But during that time, we're just so happy, we're with each other, like, whatever it is, the food is good, not good, doesn't matter. So meeting friends, seeing somebody face to face,
Hmm.
and just being with yourself, reflecting on what you do, and do whatever. See, I'm not going to say what something might make me happy doesn't, like, have to make somebody else happy.
Right.
Whatever makes you happy, like, I do certain things that make me happy. And but whatever is like happy for you, like, just find a good group of people where you can just shut off your work talk. And sometimes it's important to, like, just talk about nothing, like nothing that is important. That, Robin, increases your creativity. When you can talk nonsense, it
Hmm.
really, like, relaxes your mind, opens your mind, and when you come back, you become so much more efficient at your work.
Yeah. And what about those who don't have anyone and they're just alone? Like, Do you listen to music to kind of release? Like, what would you suggest for those individuals?
Again, whatever suits you. You want to dance, you want to listen to music, you want to get your
Mhm.
nails done, you want to go swim, or you want to listen to somebody who would help. A lot of it, Robin, again, mentors are not easy to find, they're not free either. I watch a lot of videos which kind of give you that perspective on life and help you uh, through life. So again, whatever relaxes you, or just sleep.
Right.
That's it.
Just go to
Go
sleep.
just get some rest. My God, how much do you want to work your brain? It's already like overworked. So, but I think, the weather is getting better, like, just go for a walk and and genuinely start talking to anybody, right? Like, I don't like, the other thing is like, you should never feel intimidated to just start a conversation with somebody, hey, like, I like your coat, and, like, okay, then there's a little laugh, and, like, you can start talking to, like, people. Be careful, but start talking to people. I can just randomly talk to anybody in Starbucks, like, if I really want to, like, strike a conversation and have a good conversation. And trust me, like, people will remember you, they will love you. Like, I like, so I go to a massage place in Wilkes-Barre, like, and I happened to talk to the bartender, like, the last time I was there. I was like just casually talking, and the next time I went after 2 months, he recognized me. Hey, I know you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So definitely building connections with others is definitely 100% your suggestion.
right, definitely. Like, even if you feel alone, like, like, just go somewhere and start talking to people, and you will love it, and they will love it, and they will remember you. You will remember them, and I think you just have to start doing it. Like I said, it's just, empathy is just not a feeling, right? It's an action. Just like that, taking care of yourself and that directing that empathy to yourself, it's an action. You have to start somewhere today.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
That I 100% agree with. Well, that is all the questions that I had for you. Did you have any more questions for me or anything else that you wanted to tell any listener out there?
You really want me to ask you a question?
You can, by all means.
Okay, so this is what I said, right? Like, I would ask. Usually, I do ask, what's been the most difficult conflict of your life, and how did you get through it?
Of my life. Wow. That's a loaded question. I've had
See,
quite a
I warned
few.
you about it. Like, do you really want me to ask you a question? I gave
Yes.
you a hint too that this is what I usually ask people.
Yeah. Well, actually, um, I've dealt with quite a few adversities in my life, and through childhood, where I had childhood trauma, and also dealing with, even in adulthood, dealing with bullies at work, if you want to put a label on it or anything like that, and not being accepted, not feeling wanted, going through depression, even myself. And that's what I kind of feel that all the adversities that I have faced my entire life is kind of where my purpose was born, because I'm able to help others with, again, I exercise empathy. I'm able to reach out, and I want I feel better helping others. That's what actually helps me. So that's kind of like the light that I kind of shed on others is, hey, I want you to feel my light that's within me, because I have definitely felt the pain that you have felt. I have gone through the things that you have gone through, even though it may not be exactly verbatim, but I do understand where you're coming from, because we all have stories, right? And everyone's going to benefit from someone else's story, and someone else's story could really help others. And that's what I feel that building connections is about, is sharing that with one another.
Oh, beautiful, Robin. My God.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for saying all that you said. Like, you were literally playing my life when you were like talking. And
Yeah.
like, oh, I know what she's saying. Oh God, I just hear myself like record the whole record is playing. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for everything you do. And it is important to share stories. I'm glad you touched that topic.
Thank you. No problem at all. And so I know you said that you work with nonprofit organizations and things like that. And
Hmm.
you're in what area again of Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Okay.
It's Pennsylvania. Hmm.
Okay. And is there any suggestions that you would suggest for people that are in your area, like where they could go as far as getting in contact with any type of mentor, or what would you suggest?
Again, it also depends on what exactly you're looking for from a mentor.
Mhm.
um, whether it is you want to develop leadership skills, or whether you want to like really work on your relationship skills. I think it's very personal. I
Mhm.
don't think you can really go somewhere, but when you are socializing in different scenarios, whether it is work parties or non-profit parties, you will know, like if you keep your eyes and ears open, you will see these wise people
Mhm.
just develop those connections, because you will slowly like start like building those connections to like get to a point where you can ask them, hey, can you mentor me, like these are the difficulties that I'm facing. So again, if you're like at a work scenario, is much easier to get a mentor. But if you're dealing in more like you want to like grow as a person, I think to find that right fit, you have to like expose yourself to like maybe some meetup groups, or like some like-minded groups, or somewhere that you can find people who are having the same struggles. And then like you can form those little groups where you are able, for example, anything, whatever your hobby is, or whatever your, like if it is a dance group, if that is what relaxes you. My friend goes to a dance group and she found beautiful friends there,
Mhm.
and she's so excited. She just wants to go. I'm like, why do you want to travel 2 hours every weekend? No, I want to go. Because so it took her time to find that, like, and she's been doing it for 4 5 years, but it took her 1 or 2 years to even find that that right fit. Again, they're not mentors, but they are like mentors, right? It's not everything has come in a quotation of a mentor. It's just about who can uplift you in any which way, whatever way you're looking
Yeah, I
for
100% agree with that. Is it's uplifting others, and that's
others. And
yeah,
glad you mentioned, when I asked you the question about conflict, you said something very beautiful, that when you help others, your pain decreases. And I suffer from chronic pain in my leg after my injury, and whenever I help the senior citizens, my pain just comes down that day. And because I'm so happy,
yeah,
uh, so excited to see me.
mhm,
And which is why I'm saying, like you must slowly help your kids to throw away their iPads and come and hug you. Because
right,
when somebody loves you, like your stress from your work, your pain, everything comes down. When I go to see the seniors, they just light up. They're so happy to see me, and I'm getting all these compliments. So you start absorbing all that energy, and it really helps you. So the best thing when you're hurting is find a purpose and help somebody. Trust me, it does take away your pain. It
yes,
beautifully takes away your pain, because you get the purpose of helping somebody else, and there's nothing more than that. Like there's
yeah,
nothing more beautiful than. And yeah, I could like talk for hours, because what happened with me happened over a period of like couple of years, right? Like I said,
mhm,
it was a slow transformation of um, using empathy in different areas of my life. It didn't start with like uh, everything at once, right? Like it was, okay, it was first work, and then it was nonprofit, and then it was my friendships, and then it was like like it just started like I'm like, oh, this is a skill set I could use at different places, and everywhere I'm elevating. So
uh-huh,
wherever I use it, like I'm elevating. I'm like, this is beautiful, man. Like people should use it. Why not, right? Like
yeah,
so. Yeah, so that's what it is, Robin. So thanks for
yes.
bringing that up.
No problem. I love that. And it, like, I agree. It's the energy that we put out. And with that energy, it kind of distracts you from other things. So that I like, I think that's absolutely beautiful.
You become a magnet, like people want to be with you. So why would you feel lonely, right, when people are wanting to be with you? So start with that empathy. It takes time, but after a point, like you'll be like, okay, I am really a magnet.
Yeah.
So yeah, you won't feel lonely anymore.
And I know I don't want to take too much of your time, but if you have time, will you share with us what happened with you? Because I know you said an injury. What exactly happened with you?
Oh, I actually had a fall at my workplace, and then I couldn't walk. Obviously, like I do not want to give away the diagnosis and stuff, but I couldn't walk for like a couple of years, and like I had to. I lost my job, and during that period, it was very very stressful. And I'm glad you asked that question because it gives me a chance to shine light on my wonderful boss. His name is Dr. Leshinsky, and when he took me into the job, I just called him, and like my voice cracked a little bit, and he didn't know me, I didn't know him, like we were in the same system. But I said, Dr. Leshinsky, I don't know anything about this role, but I will work very hard if you give me this role. And it was his empathy that he actually like it empathy in a leader really helps them to see the potential and worth of an individual
Hmm.
despite abilities, lack of experience, gender, race, nothing. They're able to like catch what exactly you are. Who are you as a person? What's your potential? Can I train this person or not? And it took me quite some time to understand that, wow, with that one phone call and one interview, he made a crucial decision which turned out to be really great for both of us, right? Like like he really saved my career at that point. And my response to his empathy was my loyalty and my passion for my work, and I did so exceptionally well within just few months. And so it works both ways, right? Like but somebody has to take that first step, be
Right.
that leader and take the first step.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you for asking that question. Like there is no podcast that should ever go without talking about my boss, and thanks for asking. So let's talk about him.
That's
So
good. That's really good that you feel that way about him. I'm sure he's
I
very
do.
pleased to hear
I do.
that.
I would say everybody can make a person feel that way and be a great leader. Just use that opportunity when somebody is either struggling or happy or anything. Like it's also about like like for example, like if I do something great, he's super happy for me, right? Like even my boss, she's super happy for me. So that's what a leader is about. You share that feeling with your employee, whether good, bad, ugly, whatever it is.
Hmm. Absolutely. I agree. Thank you so much. It has
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure speaking with you today.
Likewise, you're lovely. You're lovely. You know what I
Thank you. I feel the same way about you. I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Me
So,
too. Absolutely.
thank you so much. And that is it for this podcast, you guys. So, again, I am Robin Black. This is It's All About Healing podcast. You guys stay blessed. Thank you so
Stay
much.
blessed. Bye.
Bye.